What is going on, guys? Welcome to Greggles TV. I have two, I think, really cool phones here. They are the Oppo Find N2 Fold and the Galaxy Z Fold 4. They're folding phones, meaning they close in half. They have that big display you just saw a moment ago. And then they also have a display on the front that is different looking. Both phones have different form factors. The N2 Fold has a shorter, fatter look to it. And then the Galaxy Z Fold 4 has a skinnier outside display. And then the inside display it's bigger. It just feels bigger overall. It's taller. I think the width is basically about the same. Let me just double check. Yeah, it's almost about, I mean, it's a little bit different. But basically, this feels like a bigger phone when you're using it, at least when it's open, which could be a good thing, a bad thing, depends on how you feel about that. But I just wanted to run through some things on here, and what I thought about both of these phones when you're looking at them. I will tell you which one I like on the outside, and we'll look at the outside displays, the inside displays, the speakers, the software overall, and just general usage of these devices, like which one I feel like is better. Now, to be fair, this is basically available. The Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 4 is available almost everywhere in the world. I mean, there's probably places in the world it's not available, but it's basically available everywhere in the world. This is currently, at the time of making this video, only available in China, which you can import it. They sent it to me, which I am very grateful for. But overall, it's a really, really nice phone. And they kind of have very similar specs. Now, the inside displays on here of the Fold 4, you're getting a display that's 7.6 inches. And then on the Oppo Find N2, you're getting a 7.1 inch display. Both are 120 hertz. The nits of brightness, the N2 is actually a little bit brighter at 1550 nits of brightness. Fold 4 is 1200 nits of brightness. These inside displays on the Oppo Find N2, it's 5.54 inches, 6.2 for the Fold 4. You can see it's a lot taller. They measure diagonally to get the screen size. So that's why you can see overall that it's smaller on the Oppo Find N2, but the Oppo Find N2 looks a lot thicker. Now, both of these phones do have a Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1. The Find N2 gets up to 16 gigs of RAM. This is the 12 gig 256, but you can also get up to 512 gigs of storage on here as well if you want with that 16 gig. Fold 4 maxes out at 12 gigabytes of RAM, but you can get up to 1 terabyte of storage, or as small as 256 on there. Battery size is 4520 on the N2 and 67 watts of fast charging, so it's going to charge a lot faster for you. Fold 4 gets 4400 milliamp battery, a little bit smaller and much slower, 25 watt charging. Also, you get 15 watts wireless on the Fold. You don't get any wireless charging on the Oppo. Both cameras come with a 50 megapixel main camera on here. The Oppo can shoot up to 4K 60. The Fold 4 can shoot up to 8K 24 and 4K 60 video. All right, so let's talk about the design. Which one do I personally like better? Well, if you look at the sides here, they look kind of similar on the side here. I mean, obviously, besides the difference, they both have a similar looking hinge. The cameras on the back, you know, you get the multi-cameras on the back here for both of these. This almost has like a leather feel to it, whereas this is more of like a metal glass type feel on it. Back, I'd have to say I prefer the way the Galaxy looks. I don't absolutely love it, but I do probably like the way it looks better. On the front here, I prefer the usage of the smaller display versus the Fold 4. I don't know, even though they're both not, you know, this is a little bit wider and shorter, and this is taller and thinner, I don't know, I just feel I like this one better overall. So when I go into like Amazon, let me open up the Amazon app on here for both of these. I don't know, there's just something about this where I personally like the Oppo better. I don't know, it's easier to maneuver, I guess, because it is shorter. But overall, I just prefer it better. Let me click on both of these just so you can see what these look like with the pages themselves. But I mean, this doesn't look awful, but I just prefer this one. I like the wider, shorter feel of it. It's easier to use overall, so I prefer that. What about the displays on both of these on the inside? I personally prefer the Z Fold 4. I feel like it's a better screen ratio. This one's like literally just a big square. This is more like almost like a rectangle. This one feels a little bit too short for me. I wish it was a little bit taller. There's something about it that just feels a little bit awkward. I prefer the outside, but the inside, the Z Fold 4, I feel that I like better. You can see. And if one of these looks, you know, brighter than the other, it's really because of the brightness I have it set up. So don't be too locked up in that. We'll go up here. Here's Toca Life, just so you can see what these look like at their pretty much the same setup. This isn't awful, don't get me wrong, but I just prefer the dimensions and everything of this. Let me bring up YouTube. Now, before I bring up the video, I did want to show you what the keyboards look like. Here's what they look like on here. Personally, I use the Gboard on both of them. I prefer typing on this one. It is something about it, it makes it easier and less typos to type on with this phone, the Find N2. I like it typing on this one better. This isn't awful, but I prefer it on here. All right, here's a video on both, just playing on the display. You can see it looks a lot bigger on the Z Fold 4, but we can obviously maximize this display. And when we look at it, it does look kind of similar on both. They both look really, really good. But there's something about, and it won't even let me pinch in, about the Z Fold 4 that I just like better. It just feels like you're getting more real estate. And it is a bigger display on the inside, and I prefer that. I want a bigger display. So for me, that makes a lot more sense. So for video watching and stuff like that, I definitely want it on the Z Fold 4. All right, what about video games? Here's Tom Hero running on both, so you can get an idea. And it takes up the full display, which is very cool. I don't know if I can play this 2 players. Here we go. Let's go. Whoa, I died right there. I'll get that going in a minute. Just so you can see. Again, this is going to be kind of hard to play. All right, I don't care about that. Move this guy over. But it's nice when you get the full display. It's, you know, I can definitely play on either one of these and be pretty happy with it. But yeah, that's what it looks like. 2 games running side by side against each other. Here's Wordscapes. Again, it takes up the full display, but it's bigger on here. You're getting, it's a little bit seemingly easier to see on here. So I'm going to write the word fully. I'll write it on here as well. But again, is it that small where it makes a huge difference when you're gaming? Not really. One thing you can do on this phone is I can turn it sideways and it still takes up the full display no matter which orientation that I put it at. Whereas on the Fold, if I turn it this way, it gets smaller. So I guess in consideration of that, I'd rather have it be more like the Oppo phone. Here's a website on both phones, the Android Police's website, to show you off the phones. They look quite similar in terms of everything being the same size. And obviously you can zoom in or zoom out in your settings of your device, or you can pinch in and stuff and do stuff like that if it's, you know, not fitting the proper way. I'm going to turn it this way just so you can get an idea. Because that's like almost like a perfect square, you know, it might feel different. Let me go to that phone. There you go. So now the Galaxy phone definitely does look bigger in some regards, a little bit anyway, when we look at this stuff. So it's really all preference of what you'd like and what you don't like, but that's the inside displays. And then here it is, Wordscapes on these 2 displays. When I hold this one, it's funny, on this, I prefer this one again, just because of, I don't know, it just feels a little bit better in my hand. It feels a little bit closer to the screen, like I can see more, or at least it's bigger, even though I can see the whole screen. So outside, again, for gaming, I would personally, and let's just turn it sideways, see if it moves. It doesn't. I would personally choose the Oppo phone. What about software? I still have to give the edge to Samsung. It's really almost impossible for me to prefer someone else's software. This is still has Chinese things baked into it. Like that thing right there. I don't even know what that was, Brevo or something. That's on the phone. Swiping over, you don't get like the Google feed like you do on here. Not a huge deal. Swiping up, you do get your recent apps, and it is vertical. I do prefer vertical, whereas Samsung does it left to right, but it still looks pretty freaking similar overall. Notifications, there you go. It's basically very similar. One thing I don't like about Chinese phones is when you want to swipe the thing away, it won't let you. You can if you hit that. You have to swipe it. If you want to do it fully, just make it easy, you have to swipe to the right to make it go away. Samsung's and every other Android phone here in America, it's like you can go swipe left or right without having to hit an extra button or an extra like long pull. Here's the home screen settings on here. Wallpapers, icons, widgets, more, which is just settings here. Quite similar in some of the things. You do get a lot of themes built into your Galaxy phone that you can download for free, and you have Good Lock as well, which is a really, really cool app. This one, I thought it had themes. I guess it doesn't. I was trying to remember if it did. I don't think it does. It does, yeah. Themes. You can go into their store and download some themes too. So it's kind of similar in that regard. You can get some, free or paid themes on both of these stores to customize your phone. The extra kicker here, like I mentioned, on the Galaxy phone, you get Good Lock, which is an absolute amazing app to have for customization and control over so many weird little things that you might not have thought of, or maybe you did want and you didn't realize you could do it. There's tons of modules in here to get, and they're all free, which is again, an absolute amazing value for these phones. Here's the settings menus. Quite similar in some regards. I'm used to Samsung, so that's maybe why I prefer it, but they're similar enough to where I don't get lost or confused in some of this. Again, this is a Chinese-based phone, so there's going to be some Chinese extra things in there that I don't want or don't understand unless I translate it. Now, multitasking, just to show you a little bit here. There's one app, and then I'll open up the Play Store. And there you go, you got a little bit of multitasking for you. Samsung, you can do it multiple ways, but I guess we'll do this. I already have these open. So here we go. We'll open up the internet app, and there you go. So now they are quite similar to what you get there. Now, since this is like fatter, it's a little bit more condensed. You're watching your video and stuff just feels a little bit better on here. I can see my video a little bit better. Here, let me click on that. You can see it better. It's a little bit of a bigger window. I appreciate that. And I know you can make this bigger or smaller, just like you can make this bigger or smaller. But if you just keep them smack dab in the window, this makes a little bit more sense because it's wider, because it's shorter. I'm fine with that. I'd rather see the width rather than the length when I'm doing multitasking on here. So for the win, just on looking at the window itself in terms of multitasking, I would personally prefer it more on the Oppo Find N2. All right, so I'm going to play a couple sound samples. Here's the Z Fold 4 first. And then here is the Find N2. This song alone, I would say that the Galaxy phone sounds a little bit more punchier, a little bit clearer. Find N2 might sound a tad bit bassier, just a tad. But overall, the sound based off this song, I think I'd choose the Z Fold 4.
To fit in with
With this one, I'd give it to the Oppo Find N2. It sounded more sophisticated. It sounded just a little bit better overall, more full. That's what I would rate this at. And volumes were pretty similar. So for that winner, based off speakers, it's hard to choose. I think it's going to depend on what you're listening to. But if I had to choose one speaker only for these, I guess I'd choose the Oppo Find N2. Now, what about the cameras? I want to show you some camera samples, video and photo that I took with both of these phones. Here is video on both of these phones. Now, the Oppo Find N2 only shoots in 1080p on the front-facing camera when it's closed. The Galaxy phone, the Z Fold 4, shoots in up to 4K. I'm just going to stand up. I don't have crazy good lighting in here, but I'm just going to move around a little bit. Only really got one light, and then all the other lights are kind of colored. Ooh, that's kind of weird. Oh, handles, there we go. Kind of give you the same look at how it handles light as it changes on me, which one looks and sounds better with the cameras and then also the microphones. All right, I have to do separate videos, but I am holding the phone open and doing the cover display. So basically I can see myself when I look over to the right because I have the front screen open. It's like, you know, parallel next to each other. Cameras on the left, screen on the right, so I can see what's going on. I'm going to switch between, let's see, ultra wide. Here's the main camera. And then 3X is going to be way too fast. I'll kind of just go over here as you can kind of see. Go back to 1. So what do you guys think? Which one looks better and sounds better? I'm going to switch over to the Oppo Find N2 now. All right, just like a second ago, I have the same setup. I have the phone completely open. I can see myself on the right with that display, and then on the left I have the cameras. So I have the ultra wide. I'm going to switch over to, this one's a little bit different. You don't have a button. I'm just going to zoom in to, now we're at 1X. Sorry, it took a second to do that. This one is, it looks like it's having trouble with the light. It's making me too dark in that environment. But here we go, walking a little bit. Move it to, I guess, what is this, 3X? 4, I can't really read it. It's a little bit, it's pretty close though. That's even closer. Go back a step. So yeah, what do you guys think? Let me go back actually a little bit. There we go. So what do you guys think? Which one looks and sounds better? This is the Oppo Find N2. So, which phone should you choose? I mean, if you're in America, I think it's a no-brainer. Get the Z Fold 4. It's built for our world here in America, the Western world. Now, if this came out in America, this would be a really, really good contender in so many ways, and it might even beat it in others. It's tough. I really like this phone, but again, it comes down to a little bit of the Chinese customization still being in there, not fully optimized for American carriers and just software in general. But I would say, you know, out of all the foldables that I've tried that have been foreign, which it's been this and the Vivo, this one, is the software alone is very, very close to Western software, if not completely there in some ways. So I really like the form factor of this. I like the wider display. There's things I like about this more so than the Fold, and there's things I like about the Galaxy Fold 4 more than this. So it really just depends. But let me know your thoughts, which one you think is better in the comments down below. I'd be really curious to see and hear your opinions on both of these phones. So make sure that you let me know which one is the best foldable that you can get. And don't forget, you can do an S Pen on this phone as well. Didn't even mention that. You cannot on that. So if you can't house it in here, but if you're into the S Pen, which I'm not, but if you are, you can control your phone and write on the screen and all that kind of stuff with the S Pen as well. There's also IP certification in here, wireless charging, both things this does not have, which might be another big thing for you. So if you need water resistance, the Galaxy phone does have that. Let me know your thoughts. Have a great day. We'll see you down the road. Peace.